We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast. It's been a couple weeks, but we wanted to get international traveler Paul Rank back in so we could talk about the first World Game Worn Expo. We've got all kinds of fun stuff to cover. We'll touch on a couple other expos coming up, and then we do want to get into the hotly debated topic of the Michael Jordan jersey and kind of give our opinions and thoughts and all that, and not dig on anybody too much, but kind of we've seen the hobby's pulse of this, so we'll get into some of that in a minute. I want to touch on a couple expo dates first coming up, and then we'll get into Paul's stories of Dusseldorf, Germany, and the wonderful visits over there. Coming up Friday, September 19th, it's the Ice Violence buy, sell, trade event in Deptford, New Jersey. You can find those details online or reach out to the Ice Violence people. And then Saturday, September 30th, also same town, the South Jersey Expo. So you got Friday night buy, sell, trade stuff with Ice Violence and all those guys that are doing that. And then Saturday, September 30th. And then we jump into October, the St. Louis Expo. Wade, of course, here on the podcast doing that one, October 21st and 22nd. So that's going to be a fun one. We've been talking about possibly going to a game that night because the Blues are in town, and you'll even have the opportunity, and Wade doesn't even know this yet. Paul does because he joined first. I have to leave the Expo a tad bit early on Saturday because I'm playing before the Blues game. So I'll be in my own game worn jersey. Part of there's a group called Pucks for Autism. They did it last year. I got to play in, I think it was January or February in St. Louis after a Blues game, and the charity reached out. The Blues wanted to do it early, so it's the afternoon just before the Blues game on October 21st. So I have to leave a tad bit early, but I get to create my own game-worn jersey on Enterprise Ice. So,
do we have to have any special food for you? Do you have like any meal requests or any superstitions that we have to like live up to?
I'll probably have burgers and whatever else, the normal fattening food that I eat, and then I'm skating out as a forward. Because the goalie spots were already full. Last year, I picked up a goal and an assist, so I've got to at least do the same this year. So then my jersey will be up for sale at the Expo once I return. So looking forward to that. And then once the charity sends me links to buy tickets, if anybody's coming to the St. Louis Expo, you can buy tickets to that link. There'll be different sections to buy from, and the charity gets a portion of that money. So it's all for a good cause, and it just went down last few days, Wade. So I had a chance to really talk to you and fill you in on it. So
yeah, well, let me know so we can advertise for your tickets to get people there. Sounds like a great cause.
Well, and it'll be fun too. We get a bunch of us collectors all going to a game after a fun day at the Expo, and then we may come back and have to do a late evening post game podcast. Get out some liquor and have a fun after hours podcast.
I'll tell you what, you hit another goal and assist. The Blues might have you play the regular game after that. I mean, you might get a 1-day contract or something out of this stuff.
You know what? I'd be happy with that. So
don't forget that October 15th, the Minnesota Game Worn Expo at Tom Reed's in St. Paul, which is an excellent expo to get to. Very good group of collectors down there.
I need to find a good and Paul, maybe it's my fault because I think I have a link to your site that lists a lot of that. I need to just start referencing one page because I search Expo on Facebook. It finds some, and I know I'm missing some in there. So thanks for throwing that one in there, Justin. If I do miss an Expo, it's not on purpose, I promise.
I'm behind on updates for that, but it's on my list to get done this week.
Not like you've been busy and traveling the world, and for that reason, let you talk about the wonderful expo over in Germany. The pictures looked amazing. The place it was being held looked gorgeous. Fill us in.
Well, before we get to that, you missed another expo. October 7th, Southern Cal Expo, Northern LA.
Wow, what a great group of collectors.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good show. So Monica and I will probably head down for that one. We have a couple scheduling things to work out, but we were there 2 years ago. It's a great show. For us people on the West Coast, highly recommended. And we're trying, later in 2024, we're trying to work out something in San Jose. I'm just waiting on some legal contract stuff for that, but we'll talk about that later. But first, Dusseldorf. It was all expos should be like this one. It was absolutely unbelievable what Stefan put together. I'll leave out details about the rest of the trip, but we basically, a lot of people start arriving on Friday, and we do a little bit of setup on Friday. I couldn't because Martin Foal had all my jerseys and stuff still in Mannheim, but we still joined everyone setting up, and then we head out to a pub, Schumacher's, for dinner. Probably like 30 or 40 of us there. This is pre-expo dinner. Wow. And lots of beer. It's just, Jason and I were talking about this before the show. In Dusseldorf, they have alt beer, which I guess is translated from old beer, which is top fermented. And you get these little 7-ounce glasses, kind of like a Happy Days episode. And if anyone recalls that one, how many little tiny beers? And they just keep bringing you beers until you're tired of them. And the alcohol content is low enough. You never really get, no one's walking out of there stumbling usually. And Friday night was just so much fun catching up with everyone. And then the real event, Expo, starts on Saturday. And the amount of collectors there, it was just unbelievable. We had Joe from Pittsburgh, who runs the Penguins program. Michael from LA, who runs the Southern Cal Expo. Mark from Classic Auctions. Monica and myself. I think that's all the North American people. And if I forgot anyone, I am so sorry. I know it'll come to me. And then people from all over Germany, England, Lithuania, Czechia, Netherlands, Norway. None of the Finns made it this time, which was surprising. But we just had a great turnout, and so many incredible jerseys. But I spent most of the first day and second day too, just running around talking to people, catching up with everyone that we haven't seen in years due to COVID, and just the entire vibe that day was unbelievable. There were like no egos in the room. Everyone was welcoming, even if you haven't met them before. And it was just such a friendly, enjoyable gathering. It didn't matter if there were jerseys in the room or not. And there were a ton of jerseys in the room. I've not seen a private expo like this. Stefan just does an incredible job with it. And so that's Saturday. And, I had a number of sales, number of trades on Saturday, which, we were thrilled about. Then we had a big barbecue / dinner Friday night with everyone. Once again, so much fun. We come back Saturday, and within minutes, people are start coming up to me like, will you trade this for that? And we just had all these trades going throughout the room. This is why
the first day was kind of the warm up and everybody getting comfortable and taking a look at what everybody had, and then Sunday everybody was like, you know what? Okay, now it's time to make deals because the clock's running. People were going back to their country.
But basically, yeah. But there were a lot of deals on Saturday, and I thought, oh, okay, we're basically done. Sunday just took off from there.
2 days. I cannot imagine being upright for 2 days at this. I mean, it just seems so overwhelming. I loved all the pictures, but good God, I'd be done after 2 hours.
Oh no, you would do well on this, or else would get you a couple of beers. That's
always helps.
Yeah. So definitely did help. And so Sunday, then lots of trades, just catching up with people from all over again. Another party afterwards. But one of the highlights on Sunday, and I blanking on who suggested this. Stefan is friends with someone who runs an animal rescue organization, and this isn't your typical organization like we here have in the U.S., like when you get a puppy and find a home for it. He goes out like when there's a sick bird or something and rescues it, and nurses it back to health. And he does it for all types of animals, not just dogs and cats. It's like wildlife too. So people started donating jerseys and other stuff, and we did an auction live, last minute thing, from up on the balcony. I did the English portion. There was a German portion too, and lots of great jerseys donated. We raised over 4,200 euros for this
Wow.
animal rescue thing, just from people buying jerseys that were donated there, for this cause, and just locally as a last minute thing. And to me, that was like one of the highlights of the whole expo, that we could actually do something good. The organization had no idea we were doing this, and they were totally floored when Stefan got a hold of them, which was, they were just shocked they were getting a donation like that raised from hockey collectors.
Just a last minute, hey, let's put this together. And that's 500 US. Just did a quick, thanks to Google, did a quick conversion there.
4,000, over 4,000 is
4,500 is what 4,200 euros is $4,500.
yes, that's about right. Yes.
Cool.
So
Very cool.
we were very, very pleased with that. It's a lot of good jerseys, what we're auctioned off that way. Just thrilled with the response we got from that.
And let me ask you this, what was some of the surprising jerseys? Again, a lot of what you've probably seen is stuff that originated in the US. What was some of the most surprising pieces you saw that were in the hands of collectors over there, or from wherever they came from?
Well, Brandon brought in a 1930s wool New York Rangers jersey, which was just shocking to see. I mean, the thing was just beautiful. And he had he was working on photo matches. It looked like it was matched. Shocking. Joe brought in Sidney Crosby's first captain's jersey. And what was really interesting about that, it was an Edge 1.0.
Oh, yeah.
And Crosby absolutely hated it. I guess he got sick during the game, and he refused to wear it after that. And that's why Pittsburgh was the first team to switch to the Edge 2.0s shortly after that. I don't know what he wore between that and them getting the Edge 2.0s and a couple months later. But it was a one-game wonder with wear, Crosby's first C. Max had his silver medal from the World Championships. He was the equipment manager, an equipment manager on Team Germany. And that was very, very cool to see and hold. And
yeah, because I heard those are heavy as hell.
Yeah, yes, they are. Yeah. And it was, I mean, just incredible.
Please tell me they were all chanting your name for buying a Zamboni.
Speaking of Zambonis,
I chant your name randomly in my house. I'm like, he's got a fucking Zamboni.
Well, that was the joke, trying to get it over there. But we do have one of the collectors, Martin, works for a shipping company, and he thought it can get us a container. But it gets better. Rosenheim, where we visited beforehand, Gordy on Facebook, the big Grubauer collector, lives there. Strange, when we meet Gordy for lunch there, we go out a few days before the expo, go out for lunch, and then 2 hours later, we see that Grubauer was at the same restaurant. We just happened to miss him there.
Holy crap.
But now I'm rambling, and the whole point of this story, wait, there's a point. We visited the ice rink in Rosenheim, and we saw practices and stuff there. They did have the mascot costume out, which was really tempting to bring home, but which we couldn't. But Rosenheim is now auctioning off an older Zamboni.
Stefan could add it into the bar.
That's the plan. It's bring it back here. Start a Zamboni machine. Starting bid is 5,000 euros. I have no idea if they've had any bids yet or not. But yeah, I had no idea these things were on the market occasionally. So.
I don't remember if I sent you the link. I think I may have sent it to Wade, but there was one of the companies I follow that does auctions somewhere in either Georgia, Mississippi,
Alabama.
it was Alabama. Thank you. Had one up for sale from their place, and I think it was maybe $1,000 at the time.
Okay,
It
so
didn't have the fancy look of the sharks, but yeah, it's like we keep stumbling across these Zambonis for sale now.
Great.
I'm going to renew my season tickets to the local USHL team tomorrow. And they pretty much, probably just roll their eyes when I walk in the door. I'm going to ask. I am gently going to inquire about, because it's incredible. There is nothing, Sean can have all the Gretzkys in the world. Paul is at the top of the collecting heap for having a Zamboni. There's all of our collections pale in comparison to something that is just it's reaching unicorn like.
The only thing that's going to get better, and I know we joked about this when we originally discussed it, but it's if you can photo match that's going to be the ultimate holy shit moment, because nobody else is going to say they own a photo match Zamboni.
I would like to think we can photo match it without doctored photos. And
we'll be getting into that momentarily, ladies and gentlemen.
Too soon, I know. But yeah, I think it goes back to the Cup final year where they lost to the Penguins. So I will do some searching on it, and possibly,
somebody's got pictures or video. If whoever did the Sharks games at that time, I wonder if you could get any of the archive videos that would have where when they don't cut away, they just show the ice. That would be hilarious if you can actually photo match that. I don't care whatever any collector has. If you photo match your Zamboni, that is the ultimate piece. Justin's right.
It's like, you're just going to be charging us admission to the mansion to see this, because it's, and every time this comes up, and I often think about this, I'm like, I wonder how quickly I'd get divorced if I were to even broach this. like a couple of closets full of useless hockey jerseys, but can you imagine pulling up kind of an impulse buy?
Just park it on the street,
And I have a separate garage that's set up where I actually keep my collection. I could buy the Zamboni. Problem is the garage isn't tall enough to park it inside there. I could probably get away with it, hide it for a little bit, but it would be very difficult. So yeah, I would also probably be in divorce court. Wade, I guess you're getting one.
No, don't say no. I mean, there's an outside chance.
But
we all know I'm crazy. We all know I'm crazy enough to do it.
Monica did say no to the Zamboni from Rosenheim, so
the shipping cost on that alone would make it unattainable,
right.
Probably.
But and I want to go back to one of the things you said early on, Paul, with and some of the stuff we talked about even before we came on the air here, is the going in there and regardless if the jerseys were there or not, is just seeing all the people catching up, hanging out. You went to dinner on Friday night with 40 some people. I mean, just those kind of things. I harp the shit out of this, and I know people are probably sick of hearing it. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
That's why these expos continue to get popular and grow. And like I said, you said you're working on the San Jose one for down the road. We've got all these other ones coming up. Wade's will now be in the third year, and it continues to expand. And all these other ones are doing great. Why? Because of people coming and the excitement of hanging out with other people, sharing a love of something.
Yeah, and I'm upset because I'm not going to be able to hit the St. Paul one this year. It's such a good group of collectors. Their love of Gopher jerseys aside, and it's fun. You're around people who think who have the same attention to detail, who have the same interests, and it really is like, if I had known when I first got into collecting, if I'd known about going to these expos, even as admittedly a small fish, I would have started one, gone to as many as I could. It's just the new collectors don't appreciate that friendship that comes with it.
It's about the connection to the people. I mean, Doc and I have said it, and Paul says it, and everybody says it. I mean, like, I always kid around that one of my favorite moments of our expo is every once in a while I'll find myself like worriedly walking through, hoping everybody is doing good transactions and having what fun, and that everything's going off smoothly. But every once in a while I'll stop and I'll look around, and I'll see a pack of guys doing a podcast with Doc, and I'll see other guys sitting there going through stuff, and I see people making connections and talking and enjoying the hobby. And usually that's like, there's always, every year now, there's been a moment where I've stopped, like kind of taken a deep breath and been like, man, I don't care if I don't do it to make money. I don't do it for anything beyond that. And that moment, usually I always kind of think, man, if I lose a little bit of money doing this, or if I'm not making anything on this, and I'm giving up a lot of time, it makes it so valuable to me. It's worth more than money, or worth more than jerseys, or worth more than anything, just to know that I've got something going that's good for a hobby that I care about and with people that I enjoy. It's huge. That's worth every penny.
Well, and look at how you think of how big the world is and all the countries and the things that people do. Look how much we shrink that down by doing things like that. I mean, Paul, how many different countries did you interact while you were in Germany with collectors? I mean, guys that flew over from the US and Canada and all the different countries over there, and guys from all over the US coming to Wade's or coming to North Dakota or wherever these things are. It's still, and I randomly talk to different people reaching out to me, asking me a question on a jersey, or, hey, I'm looking for this, keep an eye out. And then it follows up with, hey, I'll see you at see you at the expo soon. Excited to hang out. We may not make a deal at all, but it's cool to play catch up and, hey, what's going on and how you been? That's what I'm so excited about I mean, and I will say, Paul, with just coming back from this one, when doing the expos, you're not standing behind your table. You're out front and you're talking to people and showing things or checking out their stuff. By the end of the day, I can't hardly stand up. I mean, and Wade, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've watched you kind of say, go around the room and say, hey, you having a good time, or things going okay? And it is. And I can see you kind of slide in the corner and just eyeball the room. And it is even as me, just another person in the room with a table and doing that, is stepping back going, holy crap, this is so much fun. It's neat to see stuff that I can't lay my hands on, or learn something new, or talk to somebody I've not met before. I mean, it's just all of those things. And that's what makes this so much fun.
I feel fortunate that I've been able to make the relationships and friendships. I've gotten to touch the stuff in the hobby that I like, and I get to see stuff that maybe isn't mine, but I'm still glad somebody else has it. And I've said this before on a lot of things. I think back to being the young kid who probably doesn't come from a background that afforded me the opportunity to have some of this stuff as a kid, but to be able to be around it and then provide the opportunity for other people to enjoy it. It's worth a lot more to me than anything else. And I'm fortunate, man. I'm blessed, and it's great to share the hobby with people.
And Paul, I'm guaranteeing you walked up, saw something in Germany that just like you mentioned, the Rangers jersey or other stuff that just absolutely blew your mind.
Yeah.
And Paul, Wade and I had that, say, last year with the St. Louis Expo. The one gentleman had the Pronger Blues jersey that was cut off of him when he was hit in the heart with the puck and stopped his heart on the ice. We assumed that existed somewhere, and being able to see that was just like, it brought you to that moment of, holy shit,
Crazy.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah. And for me, like I'm not from the Midwest, and for me to go both to the Winnipeg Expo to talk to like Jets 1.0 fans, and then to go down to the Minneapolis Expo to talk to, I know I had the Gophers Jet in there earlier, but for me, not being from this part of the world, I'm able to learn about, I'm able to get a little bit of experience of culture there. And it's neat to see, like, like some of the individuals in Minnesota are still pissed at Norm Green and what it's like to lose a franchise and that sort of history of the Jets and the AFCO Cup and all that classic college hockey history in the cities. It's really there's an element as a hockey fan. You think you learn about like a team and a franchise, but just being exposed to two totally different cities with its histories, it's beyond words.
St. Louis is really nice in late October. Fly on down, Justin. It shouldn't be that expensive from where you are.
Got to hit a conference down there.
We can come up with a random conference for you. That'll be just fine. But it's one of those things. And like I said, if I don't make a single deal next month when I bring stuff down there, I don't care. It's just so enjoyable to be around everybody. And I know we'll do a podcast or two while we're there and probably end up at the Blues game. And like I said, mentioned at the top of the podcast, me having the opportunity to skate before. It's just all those things together, and the energy for me is already building with a month and a half to go. And I know, Wade, you're probably stressed because you're trying to get everything sorted out, but you got to make sure, and I'll try to help you with this, is make sure you just enjoy yourself. Don't worry if other people are having fun, because they're there, they're having fun.
Yeah. I've got some more I got another signer that I'm going to announce probably the end of the weekend.
If you want to tell about the ones you've already confirmed, I forgot to bring that up.
Yeah, I've got Darren Kimball and Mike Zook both signing autographs on Saturday for 2 hours. And I didn't want to make an autograph show, but I wanted to use the players as a vessel to get more people in, because I think that's interesting. So what I decided to do, and again, like we keep talking, I'm not trying to make money on this, and I don't want people to think that. So the admission is going to be $5 for the show, and you get a free autograph with admission. So I mean, that's super cheap for any autograph, but two guys are going to be there, $5 autograph with your admission. And then what I'm doing is Dog Nation Hockey Foundation is big in St. Louis, and they have some connections, some players. So what I'm going to do is any autographs that are bought beyond the admission part, and even part of the admission part, I'm going to make a donation to Dog Nation for the autographs. So my goal is to get people in there, meet the players, interact with those guys, and then turn that money back into something good for the community and for Dog Nation, who is a really cool organization who helps hockey families. And one of our vendors there is one of their players, and it's just something that I think is important. Like I said, if the autograph signers and the ability to get in there and hang out with the former NHLer appeals to people, and they can get some value priced autographs and have that connection, that's cool. And I think making that where it's a donation based thing, I thought was a great way to give something back, on behalf of the players and myself. So that's what we're going to do.
It's again, it'll be so much fun, and it'll be good to see these guys. And I know there's guys coming from all over. So looking forward to it. And again, thank you for anybody that puts on an expo, be it in Germany, be it in St. Louis, California. I don't care what state it is. I don't care if 5 people show up, but the fact that collectors are getting together to do this stuff, thank you for doing that, because it's keeping the encouragement of the hobby going, getting hopefully somebody new excited about stuff, or teaching somebody old something. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, you can.
That's the one thing is it's fun seeing people get just so hyped up about the stuff we all like. And the neat part about my expo, which is maybe a little different than, it kind of goes off topic here, but we have a lot of Cardinal collectors and guys who collect baseball stuff as well. So I always like to see the hockey guys end up gravitating over, looking at the baseball stuff. The baseball guys end up gravitating over and looking at the hockey stuff. And that's a pretty neat dynamic. And in St. Louis, everybody's kind of diehard both Blues and Cardinal fans. So it's really a neat thing to see that too. You see these hockey guys who are big hockey collectors over there messing with baseball bats, and that's pretty fun. So
and just some of the fun things that we see. I got a picture last year of me standing next to one of the hockey stick. Oh God! Now, of course, I blew the name. The tallest NHLer, he just retired.
Chara.
Yeah.
Chara, yeah.
Stick that was a foot taller than me. I'm 5'9", and we took a picture of the stick was actually almost a foot taller than I was.
That's awesome.
So we are one last thing before we get anything. We are 33 days from the hockey season, which has got to have our energy. I can just feel the energy rising and the excitement of another season of watching jerseys on the ice. And then, of course, the countdown to the end of the Adidas jerseys. And we'll continue to discuss that throughout this season. So, and what happens with next. So the other, I'd say a hot button issue, but that's the understatement of probably the decade now, is again, not a hockey jersey, but a jersey nonetheless, and a very hot button issue, and there's a lot of debate on both sides, is the authentication of a Michael Jordan jersey that was supposed to be a playoff jersey, and it has it's taken off a life of its own in many ways. You had a person who owned it. And if I screw up the story, anybody else step in, because there's a lot to this. Who brought the jersey to Migray, said, "Hey, I have these photos. I believe I've matched it. It's this playoff jersey. Take a look at it." And they looked at what was provided, put a thing out saying, "Yes, we have now authenticated this jersey as a playoff jersey from this time." It jumps the value from that was originally 27,000 last time it sold to they estimated would have gone over $1 million. And as more people looked at it and checked other things, they called it out, found more evidence, found evidence of possibly photoshopping the pictures. And then Migray steps back in and says, "We're pulling the certification. This isn't what it is. We're even looking at legal options." And it has exploded a whole lot since then. If you haven't seen all the articles, and thanks to Paul, part of our research team here at Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast, getting me some additional articles. ActionNetwork.com has covered this extremely well and very detailed. So I do thank them. Darren Rovell, or Rovell, however you say his name, excuse me if I've screwed it up. My name gets messed up all the time. Breaks down who this owner is, and this guy looks shady as hell. So this is kind of the quick overview, and then let me get your guys' opinions from what we heard and what we've seen initially, and then we'll kind of get into some of the, as things fell apart, what our thoughts were. Justin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't feel real comfortable talking about this, because I think a lot of this is.
I lost your audio there for a minute.
Yeah. Yes, no, can you guys hear me?
Oh, sorry. Go for it. I got it.
Yeah, there's part of it that just doesn't want to touch this, because this is going to be playing out, and I can't imagine from Migray's perspective that this is, I would imagine this is not very easy from their perspective. Part of me just wants to hold off, because there's things happening back and forth. I haven't chimed in any of the groups. It's just, it feels like it's unfolding, and it's just a very difficult situation, and we will see what happens. I don't want to be tepid about this, but I think given what's been reported, and given that it is a very valued member of the hobby, Migray, it just, I don't know. I don't want to touch it. I gotta be honest. I don't want to touch it, because it's just an unfortunate situation, and I'm curious as to see what happens.
And I will say, seeing, and there's been posts on a few of the different Facebook pages about it, and seems to kind of be there. There's people on both sides nitpicking both of the issues. I'm kind of the mindset too of, yes, some things happened, and maybe we jumped the gun too quick, but I can't put fault on my gray as much as some people do. Did they make mistakes? Yes, but are they a villain? In my opinion, no. Wade, where are you at?
I mean, my background in the authentication world, working as a lead authenticator for both JSA and PSA, doing autographs. I kind of said to you guys before this. The one thing I discovered a long time ago in our hobby is where there's value, there's fraud. And that goes all the way back in the hobby to counterfeit cards, to fake autographs, to game used memorabilia. That's something that um, is never going to go away. And as things get more valuable, the desire and effort to produce fraudulent items become more and more exceptional. I did make the comment, and it's something I lived by as someone who made a living professionally authenticating autographs, is you're only as good as your last mistake. And that's something you have to understand as an authenticator. I think that you're gonna make mistakes. For me, without getting into the details, and there's a lot of people out chopping wood on my gray, and there's a lot of people trying to make accusations and digs, but until you're in that position and you're actually making those calls, it's really hard to understand what that is. And I'm not really willing to crucify anyone, but on any end of it. But I think there's a valuable lesson here that where there's value, there's fraud, and I think it goes all the way down to when people fake sign baseballs or hockey pucks or hockey cards or whatever to make a $5 card, a $25 card. When you start talking about a $27,000 jersey becoming $1 million, the technicality and the desire to have that happen gets stronger, and also the techniques that somebody's willing to go through to make that possible are going to grow, and that's what we saw here. And I think if anything, it's a great warning. I've seen, as a jersey collector and a hobbyist, the photo match thing to me is always kind of funny, because I see people, discerning that something is photo matched as like the have all be all. And I do agree it's very important. However, I do see grainy, crappy photos that have a similarity to an old jersey, and people are like, oh my God, it's photo match. It's perfect. Blah, 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 blah. If anything, this comes back to that old saying that we've heard in the hobby begrudgingly a little bit too much recently, is, you got to do your homework. And I think that's something that we all have to be aware of. And I think as you play with bigger boy toys, the idea of what someone's willing to do to produce something of that value is something you have to be aware of.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, and it's and we'll break down some of this more and get into some more of the details of the article for anybody that listens to the podcast that's not read them or not seen them. But it's because of the name and because of what it was, were blinders put on and a rush done because, oh my God, I can't believe this. And when more evidence is dropped, we all naturally want to connect going, yes, this has got to be it. And it's sometimes we have to take a step back and go, whoa.
The question is due diligence, I think.
Right.
Due diligence is the question here. And I don't think it's necessarily that anybody did anything wrong at any level, because I still think that the company that did the authentication does a great job. I think what comes into play here is the question is an item like that is making sure that due diligence is done to ensure that you're not at a rush to judgment, good or bad. And
I have to balance. Sorry to interrupt. I have got to go take care of some stuff around the house. I have to leave. Everything's all good, but I have to cut this one out early. Sorry, guys.
All right,
hi, Justin.
You're all good. We appreciate your time. So, all right, Paul's turn.
Unmute. This is a tough one, and it's still as Justin mentioned, it's still unraveling. What we do know is Migray was definitely the victim of a fraudulent attempt here. It doctored photos, there's no doubt about that now, a fake charity in the photographer's name that the family knows doesn't exist. Now the website of that's disappeared. I do appreciate Migray walking it back and resending the authentication. Where I have problems, and we don't have enough information from Migray yet exactly what happened, they based, from what we know, they based this authentication on 2 photos that are inconsistent with every other photo from game 3 and 4 of the 96 conference finals. Migray has had this jersey in their hands before. No one's been able to photo match it. And before the show, we were looking on Getty. There's a lot of photos from these games there. There's a lot of other sources for it. And I'm a little bit surprised, and it might just be because we don't have all the information on what happened, that Migray is presented with 2 photos and we're willing to authenticate it after that, when I'm assuming they tried earlier when they had this in-house, way back when. So, if I'm bringing in a $600 Ortmeyer jersey with the doctored photo, I expect that to get through. When you're bringing in $1 million Jordan jersey, which was last sold for, what was it, 27K, you said?
Yeah.
I would like to think a large amount of research would have to go into this. Were there, on the photos, there was some controversy. Did they have slides or not? It sounds like they at least had the digital photos. Were there any inconsistencies in the metadata? Or, probably the guy who forged this is good enough to know what to do there to make that consistent. The charity, I haven't done a who is or whatever, but my gut feeling is the URL for it is probably only, or the domain name is probably only registered a year or 2 ago. And the photographer's been dead for 17 years. There's a lot of red flags even before it all fell apart, which I'm surprised Migray wasn't more hesitant to authenticate against that. Because, be honest, Migray usually does a great job with this.
I agree.
And I've had friends send jerseys there they want authenticated, and they cannot find the proper matches for it and won't authenticate it. They have no problems with saying no on an authentication. So I'm a little bit baffled what happened on the Migray side. I'm hoping to get more to the story on it. It's as Wade
I
said,
think that's why rushing to judgment is just the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah, that's I want to know what happened on this, and I hope we get full disclosure on it. I will convincingly say that I do think Migray, was a victim of a scam here. Could they have done more to prevent their involvement in it? Of course. What they've done, we don't know. I hope we find out.
And I don't know that we know, and maybe I've missed it in some of the disclosures, what the timeline is from when they got the jersey and were given these photos to when they actually made their determination. Was it a week? Was it a month? Was it 6 months? What was it? And I've not been able to really piece together, and maybe that'll come out, is how long did they have it? Because
the chain of custody is important. Right. I agree. Right. But again, here I'm going to throw this out there because you just said that Migray is the victim of a fraud. But as an authenticator, every item you touch is a bad item that somebody knowingly submits is an attempt at a fraud, and that's why people are paying good money to have your name associated with it. And again, that's where I think the timeline and again, not rushing to judgment comes into play. Also, again, I'll throw it out there. Like my line is, "You're only as good as your last mistake." So, this is a situation where it's on their shoulders now to provide a reasonable answer for how it happened and how it's not going to happen again.
So I think I might be able to add a little bit to the timeline from the articles on Action Network. Supposedly this guy was at the National, which was 2 months ago.
No, July 30, end of July.
Yeah, something. So very recently, and supposedly he went to migrate after that. It sounds like from it. So this, I mean, I started hearing a little bit about this when I was still in Germany. I didn't have time to really dig into it then, and since I've
If the
been
guy was
back,
at the national, if the guy was at the national, every major auction house in the United States and Canada are there. So if the guy took the jersey there, I don't know what my question number is. When did it sell at Gray Flannel? Because like if the guy had the thing at the national, that means he was shopping to get somebody to tie into it and trying to get somebody on the hook to either authenticate it or sell it again for him. Would be
that's
my
how I read the
guess.
article. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be the guess. I mean, if you're here, listen, if you're trying to to put something into the hobby, there's no better place than to do it at a national convention. I mean, if you're really trying to get some eyes on it because all the eyes are there.
And some of the I've gone to read through the comments on the different Facebook pages and kind of curious to see both sides take. Is one of the ones is, why didn't they look at the foundation? They could have seen that it just started. I'm sorry, when I hear about a foundation or I hear about whatever, is your first inkling to go look at the background of that foundation and see, or do you just normally take it at its word and assume everything's above par? Because we, as most people, are just going to assume it's a legit thing. Nobody, and I'm sorry, and whoever the collectors were that made that comment, I'm not trying to disparage you or bash you on this, but that's not my first angle to go look. I'm not researching every back piece to go, okay, is the foundation legit? Is this legit? If I'm getting handed, rightly or wrongly, getting handed evidence that kind of lines up with what it should, we as humans in general are going to start kind of focusing in, going, yep, that's right. And our mentality is to continue to say, yes, this is the right thing, and not try and disprove it. You want to believe that it's correct. I mean, it sounds bad. Police do the same thing when they're looking at crime scenes and things like that. If you have a suspect in front of you, you're less likely to look at the 5 others that could be in the corner that may have a tie to this, because, oh, we've got this one right here. This fits what we need. Right or wrong, that's not that can bite you in the ass, and it has many times. As somebody who's dealt with legal stuff criminal wise in the past, helping with cases and that, you've seen that. And a group where I work that's run there called the Innocence Project. I mean, they have gotten people. Illinois used to have death row. They don't anymore. And I don't mean to get too political, but they got people out of death row because the whole system said they had done this, but they didn't. So we just sometimes want the easy way or the easy answer and get those blinders on. And I think that's kind of what happened in this case. And again, we're a Monday morning quarterback in this stuff, and we're not here to bash really on anybody. We're giving our opinions and what we feel has happened.
So I will add to that. I frequently use Whois to figure out who owns a
site,
website.
by the way.
Well, I'm sorry?
Great website, by the way.
Yes. Figure out what's going on. So I just pulled up the Whois information for TonyRonzetti.com, the charity foundation. First off, it's registered. The registrar is GoDaddy. No one. Well, I'll refrain from comment on the quality of GoDaddy's hosting. Serve lawsuits to someone else, not me. But it was registered on July 18th, 2023.
Hey, on my birthday. No, I did not do it.
So that's a couple days before the national.
Yeah, so that's when this domain name was registered. Doesn't mean the website was even live then.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to check on the Wayback Machine, see if any of that's on there. But the registered on date is usually pretty accurate. I mean, it's even when you change registrars and stuff, it goes back to the original date in most cases. and you're right. Why would you check this? I don't know. I do think this should have been part of the due diligence on
For $1
how.
million.
Yeah, for $1 million,
Yeah.
yes. That they did say they contacted the charity. Migray said that in one of the articles. And remember, this is all third party stuff. This is not coming from Migray. This is coming from the articles. And that they were satisfied with that. The domain information for the website was last updated 6 days ago. I'm guessing that's probably when they pulled everything from it. Yeah. So I'm just saying there's red flags here, and it doesn't. I'm just surprised for $1 million jersey that some of these things were not checked. Now, granted, calling the charity or emailing whatever and getting what seems like a legitimate response is pretty convincing when you're saying, the photos are legit. Yeah, my dad shot him. It's.
Yeah, if you get that kind of response back when you email a site that looks legit and is set up to be
Legitimate,
call it a good scam, and then you fire off, say, hey, we're following up on it. Yep, everything's here's this. My dad did this and whatnot. You're gonna take that at face value because you're gonna go, yeah, this is the daughter or whoever what they're saying. Are you gonna go, well, I want to confirm this with somebody else?
To defend Migray in this whole thing, this really comes down to one thing. It comes down to you can do a million good things and the one bad thing you do is the one that's going to stick out. And Migray is a company that's done tons of great things for the hobby and for authentication and whatever. And unfortunately, this is the one that's the last one. Is the one that sticks out. I don't think it should take away all the great work they've done previously. I think it provides our hobby the opportunity to get better and understand that as stuff continues to become more valuable, there's going to be more attempts to defraud both collectors and companies moving forward. And, like I said, I'm not trying to bash anybody and I don't want any of my words to come off that way. I'm definitely not taking sides, but I think that is you asked for our opinions. That's my opinion. My opinion is, hey, this is an opportunity. It got caught before it got sold and somebody lost $1 million. And now it's just the opportunity for everyone to get better.
And in the article too, and I have not watched the video, but if you go to, again, these articles are all at actionnetwork.com. The one of which talks about the story is called, Did Scammers Create a Fake Foundation Under a Dead Photographer's Name? In the article, it links to a detailed YouTube video that lays out all kinds of stuff. Currently sitting at 1,211 views. It was posted August the 27th. In his description of this, and this is Zengao, ZhenGhaoZ, is the publisher of this. Say 1,211 views. He lays out everything. Is the background recap, Migray's statement, his questions about it, his research he's done, and the conclusions. It's only an 8-minute video, but they reference that. He breaks down all kinds of great research, and the collectors listening to this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you further. Then the collector itself, he or Zengao put yet another video up. The doctored photos and scam. Put a whole nother video out there, and it's just it's insane how many people jumped on this to do research and to help sort this out. And this video has 1,300 views, was posted 7 days ago. It's called Migray's Doctored Photo and Scam, and it talks about the Michael Jordan Eastern Conference Finals photo match.
This guy didn't just get Migray. He got Golden. He tried to get Heritage. I mean, the guy was moving Banksy paintings. I mean, this guy's not taking shots at $500 hockey jerseys. He's taking shots at $1 million pieces. So, I mean, this is a criminal.
And I will give the name, and I will preface it with this: is there have been no charges or convictions on this person that I'm aware of. His name is Juan Garcia. This article lays it all out of his background and the things he has done and companies he's ran afoul of. He went into Migray's office on August the 8th, but there is a whole long history. Again, had I have thought about this further, but with my job, I've been stupid busy right now. I would have also had representatives from actionnetwork.com on here today to discuss this, and we may yet do that in the future. But they break down all the other crap that this guy's accused of, and there's a lot. Again, I'm saying accused because things line up, but there's been no convictions. He is supposedly, again, by what I understand in reading these articles, lives in Australia because one of the guys got scammed there, and the Australian authorities have reopened a case from him scamming a 1986 Fleer box of trading cards that were supposed to be sealed and have some stuff in it. They had originally let the case die. Now it is reopened. So this is an international case now. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, it's wild. Absolutely wild.
In these Action Network articles too, they do have some of the photos from Getty, and then the Photoshop photos in here as well. So these lay it out great. So if I know we're kind of jumping around because I don't want to spend hours and hours going through their articles, but they break it down well. Nick Rands, who is the son of the photographer who's been passed away for a number of years, said the father didn't keep the photographs organized, didn't have a quote unquote archive. The foundation never existed. It's all garbage. But again, we'll step back a little bit and say, when I hear of most charities, and I've dealt with a lot in different things that I've been involved in, unless it's glaring red flags, I don't go look to see if it's a scam, because usually if it's a bad one, you can tell pretty quick. But if it's just, okay, this guy, everybody has a foundation these days, I'm not going to think to go out and really look. But of course, I'm also not dealing with $1 million jersey either. No. So, I mean, this is a very hot button issue on the Facebook pages. And I get that is a lot of people are they're going to scream at Migray. They're going to try and not blame Migray. And my opinion alone, you guys have your own, mine is they made mistakes. I don't fault it. It was not on purpose. I believe. And again, I have not talked to anybody there. I respect what they do, but I think they got blinders on and just jumped the gun.
Agree 100%.
Yep. Good assessment.
And I don't want listeners to think that we're apologists for them, or we've been talking to them off air or whatever, saying, hey, we're going to go out and do this. No, I'm just, as somebody who, let's say, helped, I've done stuff with legal cases and that. I mean, looked at crime scene photos and given my opinion, all that kind of crap. I'm no expert, but I know the thought process on a lot of this stuff is we just, even us as collectors have been burned in buying something we think may be one thing and it's not. And we think it's a photo match. It turns out not to be. And again, it's not $1 million jersey, but we get that excitement too of, oh, I've got to have this because it's this. And then you get it and realize I got screwed. And it may have not been an intentional from the other side, but you see something, or you see a mark, or you see or whatever, and you research it and you go, oh shit, it's this special game, or it's this thing. And then you get it and dig more deeper and you're like, crap, it's not that. And I overpaid, because I guarantee a lot of us have done that.
Well, here's some prime examples. I mean, just this last Blues drop on Ringside Reserve, they dropped a Kelly Chase jersey. It's stamped
clown style Kelly Chase jersey.
Never played for the Blues that year. He was picked up by Hartford that year, never played for the Blues. So it's a game issue jersey at best. I think there was another one in that same drop. The guy played one game. Roman Vopat, I believe, or was it Roman Vopat?
Bozen.
Bozen, Philippe Bozan. That was he played one game that year. And not that those aren't great jerseys, and congratulations to who got them. But and I learned the hard way with some of those rinkside drops. Those you have to jump on those things so fast that you don't have time to click on Hockey Reference to see how many how many games, or if a guy was whatever, whether or not it's issued, whether or not the guy played. You know, so yeah, I mean, sometimes you're so geared up to make the purchase or to get the buy or to be the first one to click on it, and yeah, that we're all, as collectors, you're always guilty of that. Like that Kelly Chase jersey at $750, which is what it sold for, it's still a good buy for an issued Kelly Chase. That jersey worn is probably a $3,000 or $4,000 jersey. So I mean, whoever grabbed that thing and the guy who clicked on that thing first and snagged it probably was thinking, "Oh my God, I got the deal of the century." And then probably when they looked at Hockey Reference, they realized they played probably about what it's worth.
Yeah, and it's when it's auctions or when it's, and for anybody that doesn't know, and we've talked about Rinkside Reserve a little bit, is it's the Blues online portal for buying jerseys and gear and things like that, and they do weekly drops where jerseys show up at a particular time, and yeah, you've got seconds to basically see what dropped, and if you decide to want to buy it, and then you research it thereafter. I bought a couple that way. Eric Johnson jerseys. One was, I think, the third season he played with them, and found that he had some fights, and I photo matched it to other stuff. And then I got one that had the description from the team, had nothing on it. It said no set stamp, no nothing inside. And when I got it on the size tag, there was a number. There was actually, I think, a number 3. And then on the fight strap on the back side, and the team just didn't look at it when they sold it, it had a date. Reached out to the equipment manager that was there, and he's like, yeah, that was the third period on this game. He wore one each, and they were to be given to whoever. So we take risks all the time because we either hope to find a pot of gold or we want that player, and we don't give a damn, sometimes don't have the time to, like Wade said, to research it before. You take the risk and it may pay off in spades, or you may have overpaid. And I guarantee you a lot of us have done that because, oh, we've got to have that player, we've got to have that team, or here's what I think it is. And we probably, just like my grade, get the blinders on and we've got to have it right now. And we'll see what happens later.
For my grade, they probably, suddenly 2 new pictures show up that, that match. I mean, our hobby's leaning pretty hard on photo matches these days. I mean, suddenly that thing probably jumped off the page as good, and no blame to be had there. I mean, that's the nature of this stuff. So it's a fun topic to to talk about it. It'll be interesting to see where it plays out.
And again, I honestly expect us to take some flack for some of what we've said tonight, and I welcome it. I did political talk radio for 6 years, so none of this is going to piss me off or drive me nuts. And as I've always said, my opinion's my opinion. If you don't like it, give me yours, and we may agree, we may not. And it's seeing some comments that have come out on pages of, oh, this kills my grade and it kills a reputation. I'm sorry, I don't see that way. As long as they've existed, I mean, and to a smaller level, been stories and documented stories of somebody buys an issued jersey and proves later that it was worn, or this. Mistakes happen. I mean, the volume they deal with, mistakes happen, or they get the information from the team as this, they take that as gospel, and somebody buys it and goes, oh, hey, instead we found it was worn then. Okay, you know what? Great, good for you. They screwed up. They might correct, or if you send it off, may do an upgraded LOA. I don't know, but it's just, shit happens. I mean, this is just a $1 million pile of it.
I guess the big thing I want to see when this all shakes out is, what is Migrate going to change for this type of situation? I do think they need to come out and state something on how they're going to change the process. Because clearly there were errors made. How easy they were to detect during it, we can debate. But they clearly made a mistake on it. They were scammed. When something of this magnitude comes up again, what are they going to do to change the process? And I'm sure that's going to come out in one of their announcements eventually, because they want us to know that. What have they learned from this? What are they going to change?
You know what? And I welcome them to this podcast to do that. I'm open to anybody when things like this happen. If you're a victim, and some people don't want to call Migrate the victim and whatnot, and I feel they are. Looking at the evidence, that's where it lays out, because you have the person that's perpetrating this, by the history given from the articles, he is a professional scammer. The lengths he went to tie up all the loose ends that would be questioned. If he just walked in with that jersey and 2 photos and no other backstory, Migrate would have probably shut that down immediately, going, that's not enough. But when you say, oh, it's this foundation and this, and they can research that he was the foundation name, was the Bulls, Chicago Bulls photographer in that back then, that carries a lot of weight. And you're going to be less likely to go, yeah, that's off. Because if you had just walked in with the jersey and the pictures and no other provenance, Migrate would probably shut that down pretty quick, going, yeah, these photos, where'd they come from? Well, it had probably been shut down. But when you can tie back more, that tells me the scammer did a lot of research, but his history of shady shit is long. So I ask, regardless of which side of the commenting you're on, or who you believe the bad guy is, and who screwed this up, look at the big picture and look at the history. And as more things come out, and I hope everybody is very transparent in this, because if you're not, it's going to hurt the hobby. If you are transparent, it will help everybody move forward and understand what happened. Yes, does it hurt that Migrate screwed this up and had to backtrack? Of course it does. But let's grow and move on. I should be in PR, maybe. And again, I could be totally wrong. And if anybody listening to that thinks I'm completely full of shit and screwed this all up and my opinion sucks, please reach out to me. I mean, I have no problem having discussions with anybody on this, or reach out to Paul and Wade or Justin and say, hey, you guys were off base, or this sucked. We also like your opinion. We enjoy doing this podcast, and I love hearing that people enjoy listening. But I also, if you don't like things, or you don't like something we've said, come at us, because you know what? Maybe we'll bring you on, or maybe we'll discuss it on the next podcast.
Absolutely. Any
other things we should touch on this, or any other hobby related things before we get out of here?
I'm ready for hockey season.
We're not long. I know with training opening up.
I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see the whole thing this last year. With the last year of Adidas, I'm interested to, see. I'm interested to see the whole thing, and every year brings on that excitement of, for me as a collector, I'm sure for Paul and you, Jason, and for everybody else, that excitement of like, man, I can't wait for that first set of jerseys to go up for auction. Man, I can't wait to, hey, they got that kid's gonna get called up this year. I really hope I can get one of his jerseys. So always a fun time of year, when you start hitting October, November. So because again, that gears up a lot of the more casual collectors will start hopping back on the pages. They start hopping back into the groups. They start thinking about it more, and that excitement always excites me as well. So, um, just ready for another fun year of collecting and another season of new sweaters to chase after.
What I find interesting going into the season, and we have rookie games and tournaments starting like in a week or 10 days, whatever it
Yeah.
is, coming up so quickly. I've heard very little on New Jersey designs for NHL teams, new sponsor patches. It's not
Yeah,
like last year where we started hearing about the reverse retros, and maybe I missed it. Maybe Adidas is just doing the home and aways for the final year and nothing interesting, you
yeah.
know,
I haven't heard anything about a reverse retro this year
or
either.
anything.
So I,
Isn't
I,
one of the didn't I see one or two of the teams that's doing a third this year? And I can't remember who it was though. I should have. It was announced probably a month ago, and I missed it in all the stuff we've done. But I swear somebody posted that they were doing a new third this coming year.
it's gonna be
Interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if Adidas would want to invest in a 1 year style when they're, the last year of their contract. I have not. I mean, last summer we were getting so much news on the reverse retro sponsor patches, all that, and it's been quiet this year.
It has.
And I'll be curious if any teams that didn't have sponsor patches the previous year get them now, because they did see the money come in. One of the teams that did unveil the 30th anniversary jersey, the Ducks, which will be premiering theirs home October the 15th, is the 30th anniversary that the duck goalie mask face one. It's super sharp. It's on the Ducks website because it is the Ducks 30th anniversary season. Kind of goes back to the Mighty Ducks logo. It is super sharp, good looking plum jersey. You can even pre-order the replicas for that, but they will premiere them soon. Minnesota, it looks like they are doing trying to find theirs too. Minnesota is doing one as well, I believe. And didn't Philly is doing did an alternate too. Philly, Anaheim, Tampa, Arizona, and Toronto are doing some tweaks.
Oh, interesting.
So
That'll be fun.
They're doing Flyers are doing more of the burnt orange this year. And they
Yeah,
showed
I
that
saw the Flyers change. They changed like some of the numbers and stuff.
yes.
The color a little bit. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Let's see who else. The Flyers, the Edmonton is doing some more based on their royal blue, the royal blue and white for the 22-23. Or that says 22-23. That's not right. It's 23-24. So, and somebody else, I swear somebody else has done one too. But yeah, is some tweaking. Tampa Bay Lightning third jersey was unveiled last month, and I don't remember seeing it though. I guess I should have done a little pre-show research, but it's been a long couple weeks.
Yeah, I was saying we just decided to do this pretty. This topic just came up. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah,
And
You didn't authenticate a Jordan jersey here live.
Could never afford to own one. I do actually, just a side note thing, and it has nothing to do with hockey per se, as I do own a baseball jersey from, and I think it might be the same year. I'd have to double check again. The same year, the minor league team that Jordan played for, I have one of those jerseys.
The Birmingham Barons.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
I was given to that from my buddy Jeff Jones, who's a long-term collector. Paul, you probably know the name. Wade, I think you know him as well. But Jonesy gave me that. Jesus, that's probably been 7, 8, 9 years ago now.
Nice.
we're close to the regular season and hope to probably continue to do a show every other week. I don't know that there's enough game worn news and topics to do it every week. Plus with work and everything else, we'll continue. And if things pop up, we might do shows back to back week. And like I said, I teased it before. I'm still working on a couple NHL pros or former pros that have collected their stuff. I'm trying to get on through different things. Is it Classic that's got the auction going on right now as well? I should have had
Classic has an open auction. Yeah.
Speaking of one of the people I'm working on trying to have on is Eddie Belfour. I've reached out one way. I'm going to try a couple others, but I know he's touring with his bourbon that I'm a big fan of. But more of his stuff is in that auction, coming directly from him. Lot of very good stuff in that. Gordie Howe and Detroit Red Wings. You got Bobby Hull stuff in there. Bobby Orr, the Ed Belfour personal collection.
Tons of current jerseys in that auction.
Yes.
Huge auction.
Some beautiful stuff. I mean, just did I pulled it up here really quick. Eddie Belfour's 98.99 Warwick goalie mask, currently at $15,000. 98.99 Stanley Cup Finals jersey, 14,000.
There's some cool stuff in that.
Oh God. Some of his, and as some of you know, I play goalie besides playing forward. Some of his goalie pads and some of the other stuff out here, it's beautiful. I'd kill, even though it's not Blues related, it's other teams, the designs and just seeing some of that vintage goalie stuff is amazing. I'd love to have that in my collection. Don't have the pockets, unfortunately, to afford it, but yeah, great stuff. So make sure you check Classic Auctions. Their stuff is running until looks like about 12 days to go at this point. If you've not been out there, I know I found a couple things on the modern side that I was interested in. So check them out. I'll plug anybody if it has related to hockey. Nobody's giving me money. Trust me. I kind of wish some were, but but nobody's giving me money. We all do this, and I appreciate Paul, you, Wade, Justin, everybody that comes on and sits on these podcasts, taking out their time, because it shows a love from all of us. None of us are making money. I mean, we're in I think last time I looked, we're in the 4,000 listens range between YouTube and the podcast, the audio podcast side of things. So again, I'm going to harp on this often. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. If you've got suggestions on topics, if you have people that you want us to bring on, if you want to see about coming on yourself to talk about something, feel free to reach out. I'm on Facebook. I'm in all the groups. You can easily find me. If you can't find me, everybody knows Paul or Wade too. Reach out to one of them. We'll make this work. Gentlemen, and Justin, who left to take care of some things, thank you for another great night and a yet another fun show in the books. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Night.